Our valley is my home. Always has been, always will be. I'm Congressman Jim Costa. Here we value honesty, family, and getting results. You can't do that if you don't show up. My opponent's been missing in action, not bothering to vote in election after election, impacting our valley. Not me, I've been here, fighting for our water, schools, and keeping our families together. I approve this message because results matter, and so does showing up.
For those of us who served and swore an oath to protect America, we know a thing or two about putting country first. So does Jim Costa. Jim secured millions for the construction of the Fresno Veterans Home, helped house homeless vets, and delivered $224 million for the expansion of our Veterans Hospital, because Jim always protects veterans like me and puts country first.
I'm Jim Costa, and I approve this message.
Elizabeth Heng wants to represent us in Congress. But how can she when she's been missing? From Oregon to Washington, LA to Connecticut, Elizabeth Heng has been missing. Missing votes on Valley Water, missing votes for Valley schools, libraries, and yes, Heng was missing on veterans' housing votes. Now Elizabeth Heng claims she'll fight for our water, schools, and veteran services. But how can we trust her when she's been missing?
I'm Jim Costa, and I approve this message.
Donald Trump separated immigrant children from their moms and dads, but Elizabeth Heng says,
I support the president.
Donald Trump wants a border wall, which would cost billions without securing our border. But Elizabeth Heng says,
I support the president.
Donald Trump rolled back protections for Dreamers, but Elizabeth Heng says,
I support the president.
In Congress, Elizabeth Heng will have Donald Trump's back, not ours.
I'm Congressman Jim Costa, and I approve this message.
Vladimir Putin has been called a murderer and a thug. Dana Rohrabacher is being investigated for conspiring with him. Yet Donald Trump and Dana Rohrabacher continue taking us backwards, siding with Vladimir Putin over America's interests. I'm Harley Rouda, and I'm running for Congress to move us forward. In Washington, I'll help working families here at home, not collude with Putin. America, let's show Rohrabacher and Trump it's time for a leader who represents us, not Russia. As a father of 4 children, I think a lot about our future. That's why fighting climate change should be so important to all of us. In Congress, I'll fight offshore drilling and invest in renewable energy. I know that environmental protections will move us forward and build a thriving middle-class economy. California is the proof. We are the nation's leader on environmental protection and economic innovation. Washington's got it backwards. Join me. Let's build a stronger economy and save our coastline in the process. I'm Harley Rouda, and I approve this message.
Tonight, the debate for California's 48th Congressional District.
Hi, I'm Jason Alexander, star of Stage, Screen, and the McDonald's commercial from 1986. But tonight I'm moderating a political debate for California's 48th Congressional District. Why am I doing this? Because perilous times demand action, so here I am, in action, sitting down. Tonight's debate is between tech entrepreneur Harley Rouda and incumbent Dana Rohrabacher, who's joining us via secure server from Moscow. Dana, can you hear us?
It's goodbye. If you're not going to let me say anything, it's goodbye.
I'll take that as a nyet. Mr. Rohrabacher, can you introduce yourself?
I am the chairman of the Europe, Asian and Europe and Eurasian subcommittee, including emerging threats.
All righty. Mr. Rouda, can you introduce yourself?
If there was ever a case for term limits, we just saw it. And that is exactly why we need new leadership in Washington. My name is Harley Rouda. I'm a technology entrepreneur and business leader, and I'm running for Congress to move our country forward because Dana Rohrabacher and Donald Trump are taking us backwards.
Mr. Rohrabacher, what's your position on climate change?
Just so you'll know, global warming is a total fraud. We don't know what those other cycles were caused by in the past. Could be dinosaur flagellants, or who knows.
Mr. Rouda?
The only dinosaurs around Orange County are in theme parks. 97% of scientists know climate change is being driven by our overuse of fossil fuels. If you were in need of life-saving medical attention, and 97 doctors told you what you needed to do, and 3 doctors told you to do something else, all of us know exactly what you would do, Dana.
Well then, speaking of healthcare, Mr. Rohrabacher, what is your position on women's health?
pictures that are coming out from Planned Parenthood and people talking about selling body parts.
Well, I'm not a doctor and I don't play one on TV, but it's been pretty well documented that didn't happen. But there's so much more to women's health.
Hey, Jason, Dana knows what he's saying isn't true. Planned Parenthood performs vital services across the country for millions of women. And in Congress, I'll move us forward by fully funding Planned Parenthood and fighting for critical women's health issues.
Okay, last question, Mr. Rohrabacher. What's your position on immigration?
We need to do everything we can to make sure that this flood, this invasion into our country stops.
Did he just...
Dana fully supports Donald Trump's heartless plan to break up families. I'll fight for smart and compassionate immigration reform with a pathway to citizenship, including our dreamers, to move us forward while protecting our borders.
Well, we're out of time. Thank you, Harley. And Dana, I'm sorry you couldn't be here tonight. Sort of. I'm Jason Alexander, and good night.
Enough is enough. Donald Trump has taken us backwards. We need a leader to move us forward in Washington, fighting for health care for all, Planned Parenthood funding, equal pay, and workplace protections for women. Harley Rouda is that leader. Harley treats women equally and with respect. And he'll stand up for us when Trump doesn't. That's why I'm supporting Harley Rouda for Congress. And I would, even if Harley wasn't my husband.
Thanks, Kara. I'm Harley Rouda, and I approve this message.
Washington extremists are moving us backwards. President Obama fought to move us forward. Democrats and Harley Rouda will do the same. Their plan? Healthcare access expanded. Planned Parenthood protected. Women's equality now. He fought to keep us safe. Democrats and Harley Rouda will do the same. Fighting the NRA, banning assault weapons, tougher background checks, and combating climate change. Democrats and Harley Rouda moving us forward.
I'm Harley Rouda, and I approve this message.
You start to think about a lot of things when that cell door closes. I knew they could take away our freedom, but they could never take away our determination to fight for working people. Knowing I was there from fighting for basic rights didn't open up the cell doors, but that knowledge made it bearable. It was this work as a classroom teacher and workers' rights activist where I organized rallies and helped build a movement that landed me in jail, but also provided a victory for workers that ensured livable wages, basic rights, and fair treatment for teachers. All it cost me was my freedom. In today's America, the real battle is between those fighting for a genuine overhaul of the rigged system and those who defend the status quo while hiding behind empty rhetoric. The problem with Washington today is not just Donald Trump. It's the powerful insiders who enable him and the cowardly politicians who won't stand up to him. Ed Royce seems like a nice enough guy, but the fact is he votes with Donald Trump 97% of the time and is silent when Trump degrades our own citizens and our international reputation. Karen and I have been married for over 30 years, and we don't even agree 97% of the time. And unlike Ed Royce and Donald Trump, when my wife and I disagree about something, we tell each other. I'm running because I believe it's time we have a member of Congress who will fight corporate greed, and stand up to Wall Street, and work to restore the middle class. Not just send out sound bites and tweets, but someone who will crusade for a fair economy that benefits all Americans, not just those at the top. After I left the classroom, I started a business that provided retirement security to teachers. I've always believed that a country, like a company, only succeeds if it treats people well. I run my company with those values, and in Washington I'll do the same, prioritizing people, not big moneyed interests. And I promise you this, I won't agree with any president, Democrat or Republican, 97% of the time. I'll represent you, not the Washington elites. I was willing to go to jail to challenge a rigged system. Join me, and I'll fight for you in a place that has almost as much dysfunction as jail, the U.S. Congress.
A proven leader who sticks up for seniors and said no more cuts to New Mexico's classrooms. Howie Morales for Lieutenant Governor. A father of 2 young children, classroom teacher, and state senator, Morales will protect our most vulnerable communities and local schools and build a fair economy that works for all of us.
I'm Howie Morales. As Lieutenant Governor, I'll work to move New Mexico forward. because a new day is on the horizon.
Paid for by Morales for New Mexico. A classroom teacher and state senator, Howie Morales has spent his life fighting for our children, seniors, and New Mexico's working families. Morales is endorsed by educators because he stood up to Governor Martinez, fighting to prevent education cuts and improve local schools. Newspapers say Morales sticks up for seniors, he'll invest in New Mexico, and that he's taken on big tobacco. Vote Howie Morales for Lieutenant Governor because a new day is on the horizon.
This fall, it's Susana Martinez's most popular toy, the Susana 5. 5 Republican judges she appointed who come with strings attached. Look what they can do. This one takes big money from oil interests, then claims to be independent. All of them don't trust women to make their own healthcare decisions. This November, send a message that you want judges with no strings attached. Leave the Susana 5 on the shelf. Paid for by Safety and Justice for All.
5 dedicated attorneys are running for judge to fight for integrity, justice, and the rule of law. They are the Justice 5. Michael Vigil, Jacqueline Medina, Megan Duffy, Brianna Zamora, and Christina Bogardus. On the bench, they'll be tough on crime, crack down on violent criminals, corruption, and be fair, independent, and free from the influence of special interests. On November 6th, for judge, vote for the Justice 5. Paid for by Safety and Justice for All.
5 judges appointed by Susana Martinez don't want you to know they're Republicans. 1 is taking big money from special interests. 4 are advised by Susana Martinez's Republican campaign mastermind, who is investigated by the FBI. They all don't trust women to make their own healthcare decisions. Say no to the Susana 5. If it walks like a Susana Republican and talks like a Susana Republican, it's a Susana Republican. Paid for by Safety and Justice for All.
His parents were hardworking immigrants, but Ricardo Lara still grew up without health insurance. That's why, as state senator, Ricardo Lara wrote the law to guarantee health care for all children. Now, Ricardo is fighting to ensure health care for every Californian, because no one should get left behind. Those are my values, and they are California's values. Ricardo Lara, he'll be our insurance commissioner.
When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best.
Donald Trump continues to attack immigrants, like my mom and dad, a seamstress and a factory worker. His hate has only made me more determined to empower Californians to control their own lives. While Trump degraded women, I helped pass equal pay for equal work in California. While Trump rips apart healthcare, I am fighting to secure it for all Californians. While Trump denied climate change, I pushed the toughest environmental laws in America. While Trump University defrauded students, I backed California's DREAM Act.
California in many ways is out of control, as you know.
Mr. Trump, you're right about that. California is out of your control. I'm running for insurance commissioner to keep Californians in control of our lives and our future.
I, as a child, was not given the opportunity to have a doctor. To us, it was a 2-hour trip down to San Diego, to Tijuana, to get care, with 2 working parents who could not afford care in this state. We have always said that healthcare is a human right. And nowhere is that more true than here in California, where we continue to expand services for our most vulnerable. Now, because of our efforts, over 185,000 undocumented children have full-scope Medi-Cal here in California. You know, many of the children were very grateful that now they get to see a doctor, that their mom doesn't get to choose between the child that is a US citizen or an undocumented child. They've asked me, what about my grandma? What about my mom? What about my dad? When are they gonna have access to health care? We're gonna ensure that everyone gets health care, regardless of their status. We're gonna finally put doctors, nurses, and clinicians actually in charge of the care and not insurance companies. We're gonna seek to control these outrageous pharmaceutical prices for our medication, and we're gonna have a better quality of care for every single Californian.
Rate increases, backroom deals. That's shameless Sandy Jones. As Public Regulation Commissioner, shameless Sandy pushed to give PNM's corporate lobbyists more access, then voted to bankroll PNM with nearly $150 million of your money. Even worse, shameless Sandy's double dipping, collecting a $90,000 PRC salary from taxpayers while pocketing money on the side with a business that pays even more. Say no to Sandy Jones. Paid for by CVNM Verdi Voters Fund. For cleaner energy and more consumer protections, Steve Fishman for Public Regulation Commissioner. Fishman will give more power to consumers and less to special interests. A former state senator, Steve Fishman will combat rate increases to make energy affordable and bring the PRC into the 21st century so New Mexicans can enjoy the full benefits of the clean and cheap renewable energy revolution. Democrat Steve Fishman for Public Regulation Commissioner, paid for by CVNM Verdi Voters Fund.
As a sixth-generation Coloradan, I grew up here. As a Marine on the battlefield, I stood shoulder to shoulder with true American heroes. We were united in one uniform to serve our country. Today, I continue to serve our country, our state, and our community. As a paramedic, an educator, as a husband and father, and as your state senator. I'm Leroy Garcia, and I'm committed to serving Colorado and standing up for you.
I've run 20 Pikes Peak marathons. To get the goal, you put one foot after the other and never give up. I'm Pete Lee, and getting results at the state capitol isn't all that different. Find common sense solutions to problems, work across party lines, and never give up. That's how I passed veterans job training, criminal justice reform, restorative justice, and renewable energy. I'm running for state senate to work for you, and I'll never give up.
I'm Bob Hertzberg. As your state senator, it's my job to think big and deliver big for the San Fernando Valley, to make sure that we get our fair share. That's why I've delivered big with transportation fixes, like the Orange Line, year-round fire protection to prevent disasters like the Creek Fire, and big education investments in CSUN and dozens of new Valley schools. The Valley deserves its fair share, and I'll continue to move mountains.
Praised as one of 50 people who could save the planet, Senator Bob Hertzberg, the Democratic Party's choice. The Times said Hertzberg loves big ideas. The Daily News said he's got a reputation for integrity. That's why Hertzberg's endorsed by Planned Parenthood, firefighters, and Governor Brown. A progressive champion for the Valley, Hertzberg is fighting for working families, better schools, and social and economic justice. Bob Hertzberg, the Valley's progressive for State Senate.
I'm Christy Smith. I grew up here. Now I represent our community on the school board. This is my home. We raised our family here and taught our daughters the value of hard work and community. I'll take those values to the State Assembly to create better middle-class jobs, help small businesses grow, build safer neighborhoods, make college more affordable, and expand opportunity so every child can succeed. Because this isn't just my home, it's our home.
You trusted firefighters like us to protect your family from the Charlie Fire, the South Fire, and the Rye Fire. We trust Christy Smith to get us the tools we need to keep our community safe. Christy Smith will fight for our community's fair share of public safety funding, invest in youth violence prevention, reduced emergency response times, and the equipment we need. When crisis strikes, we take action. So will Christy Smith. That's why California's firefighters are proud to endorse Christy Smith for State Assembly.
My mom always says actions speak louder than words.
Dante Acosta doesn't seem to think so.
He says in these expensive ads he supports women, but in the Assembly he votes against us.
Dante Acosta refused to vote for equal pay for women.
Again and again.
Wouldn't support paid family leave.
Opposed Planned Parenthood.
And wouldn't even vote for laws to crack down on sexual harassers.
Say no to Dante Acosta.
His actions speak louder than words.
Hi, I'm Gavin Newsom, Lieutenant Governor of California, and I want to encourage everybody that's watching this to take advantage of this historic opportunity to bring a fierce advocate for public education, for high quality health care, someone who believes in bringing folks together, making sure that we have a vibrant middle class, and someone that I've long advocated for and believed in. And that's why I am enthusiastic in support of Christy Smith for Assembly.
I was supposed to be a statistic, a kid in the projects on food stamps. Witnessed crime, poverty, addiction. It was about survival, making it through the day. I wasn't supposed to be here. USC grad, deputy mayor, state assemblyman. My mom used to tell me I could be anything. She never gave up on me. I'm Reggie Jones Sawyer, and I'll never give up on our community because nobody is just a statistic. Justice hasn't ever come easy, but we fight hard for it because it's worth it. I learned that lesson from my uncle, Jefferson Thomas. At 15 years old, he was on the front lines of the civil rights movement as one of the first black students to integrate at Little Rock Central High School. They were called the Little Rock Nine. My uncle was spat on and called names. But the moral arc of the universe, as Dr. King said, bends towards justice. President Eisenhower intervened and made sure my uncle could go to a school he wanted to attend. My Uncle Jefferson's bravery inspired me to dedicate my life to fighting for justice for all, whether it's racial, gender, social, environmental, or economic justice. It's why I helped form the California Progressive Caucus and enacted laws that undo generations of injustice and inequality. In California, we've shown we can have the strongest workers' rights, immigrant rights, civil rights, and environmental rights in America, and at the same time, the world's 6th largest economy. But injustice still exists in every corner of our society. Today, it doesn't come in the form of National Guard troops keeping a school segregated. Instead, it's economic and societal forces that keep communities divided. We spend 5 times as much to jail a young person for a year as we do to educate them. And yet billionaires and corporations exploit our rigged system, getting massive tax breaks while the poor struggle to make ends meet. I'm Reggie Jones Sawyer. With your help, I'll continue fighting for a fairer, more just, and inclusive society that works for all Californians. Because justice doesn't come easy, but that makes the victory so much sweeter.
He led the fight for tuition-free community college, fought for affordable housing, combated homelessness, took on the Trump administration and the gun lobby. Miguel Santiago. As Assemblyman, Santiago is leading the fight to build a better future for us. From standing up to Donald Trump to advancing California's progressive values, investing in education, housing and homelessness, protecting our environment, immigrant rights, and healthcare. For a better future, Miguel Santiago, State Assembly.
Safe neighborhoods and secure communities should be a right. That's why Tim Grayson founded the Family Justice Center to help victims of domestic violence, child abuse, and elder abuse. As a police chaplain, Grayson helped first responders and crime victims and fought human trafficking. As Assemblyman, Grayson wrote a law to put sexual predators behind bars and led the fight to get lead paint out of our homes. Safer neighborhoods, secure communities. Tim Grayson for State Assembly. A local businesswoman, wife, mother, community leader, and not a politician, Cottie Petrie Norris. In the State Assembly, Cottie will work to protect our community, bringing common sense to Sacramento and working across party lines to get things done for us. Endorsed by firefighters, Cottie will partner with emergency responders to keep our neighborhoods safe and secure. Cottie will invest in better schools, environmental protection, and good jobs. For State Assembly, Cottie Petrie Norris. For Cook County Judge Shannon O'Malley, an attorney in state and federal courts for 25 years, O'Malley's life has been defined by a commitment to fairness and justice. Orphaned at 11, O'Malley knows firsthand what it's like for children to deal with the court system. It's what inspired O'Malley to serve others, helping children with disabilities at Arise Home, serving families at local food pantries, and helping abused and neglected animals at the Buddy Foundation. Shannon O'Malley, community, justice, fairness.
Long Beach depends on them to keep us safe. They're heroes. They don't flinch when it comes to protecting us. It's time we do the same for them. I'm Supervisor Janice Hahn. Long Beach's emergency responders have your back. Let's show them that we have theirs. Vote yes on Measure M. It allows surplus city revenue to pay for emergency 911 responses without raising taxes. To keep Long Beach safe, vote yes on Measure M.
Let's lift the curtain on Charter Amendment RRR. It's a power grab by the DWP that gives voters less oversight, not more. And it restricts voters' decision-making powers, giving DWP's unelected bureaucrats more power to determine rate hikes and approve multi-million-dollar contracts. Don't be fooled. Say no to Charter Amendment RRR. It's a DWP power grab.